Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I know. I fell asleep. I set my alarm. Let me show you. It never went off. Look. It says 7 p.m. I know I set the alarm. One says 6 p.m. One says 7 p.m. I know I set it up for 9:30. I know I did. That's why I went and laid down. All right. Well, we're here. I didn't even bother playing any shit. Let me just pull up the hearing. And we'll get right at it. Okay, let's do this. Okay. I'm here to put it up on the screen. Yeah, sorry, I'm so mad right now. You have no idea. Absolutely no idea. I'm so angry. It's and now I'm looking for it, and it's supposed to be here on right here. I am freaking out. I got it. There's no sound on it. There's no sound. Check it out. Yeah, we saw UFOs. They were huge, huge UFOs. They went around circles. They ran circles around everybody, and then we didn't have the budget to keep following them. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. All right, this is getting on my nerves. I hear something. All right, it's not working. Let's try, oh, that was it. Let's try this one. Oh, shit. What the hell is this? Where is it? Is this it?
Mexico's doing their Isthmus Corridor, and they're moving fast. It's incredible what they're doing. And I would ask you to look at this because the Chinese already on the Gulf of Mexico, they're looking at investments there, and on the Pacific side. So I would ask you to look at that because, you know, that's, members, that's a coast, you know, they're going from one to the other one. It's not a Panama.
This isn't it, is it?
Canal, but it's rail and it's also highways, and they're moving to look at that also. Finally, talking about the Chinese, when you look at where the Chinese are at,
just so you guys know, these things never start on time. So we may be seeing something where we're not on. I mean, it may have not. Maybe it hasn't started.
You know, we look at the Indo-Pacific. We look at other places. They're in our own backyard, members, and I would be happy to show precursors are coming out easily itself. but I would ask you to look at it. I know the land ports are a little different from what, but I would
I'm going to
ask you-
look around for something. I don't think that's, I'm not sure. It should be it. Here it is again. Let's see. Oh no, that's 130. I'm telling you, it's this one. See? I'm telling you, it's got to be this one. That's why they have the sound off. "15 hours ago." Whoa. I just felt my whole house shake. Come on, where is it? 9:30 a.m. Let's see what this sounds like. Nothing. It's got to be over here. I'm just going around looking for it. That's all. I'm really starting to get agitated again. Does anybody have the link? Does anybody know why I can't find it? Live in 2 hours for this one. So I had it, I think. This is it. This is 9:30. And then here's 10. Here's 10. 1:30. So it's got to be this one. Yeah, and there's no sound.
To change at a
Look,
quickening pace.
it's this one.
And as we operate in maritime areas that are competitive and challenging, ensuring that my workforce has the readiness level that they need to meet whatever the challenges they might find in the mission that we've asked them to do.
Right, and you mentioned that obviously in your opening
Wait.
statement that you are having challenges with readiness because of recruitment. Can you elaborate a little bit on what those challenges have been, and if there are any barriers, are those things that this committee can be helpful with, or other ways we may?
I
look
need
at
this
assistance
one
there?
down here.
So I appreciate the support, the funding support that we've got to build increased recruiting capacity. The recruiting is a highly individualized effort. It's one-on-one, human being to human being. It takes a fair amount of interaction. Also appreciate the support for some of the technology systems that help make it easier.
Hey,
once we've
Shelley, it would be
found the
nice
person
if
who's
you
interested
can
in coming to us,
tell me
easier
where it's at.
to onboard them, and I'm committed to making sure we've got the right resourcing in place to recruit people, and then just telling our story. There are
This isn't it. This is the one at 10. It's this one right here. And there's no volume. So what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? I'm going on YouTube, specifically YouTube. Here we go.
Sources. I think we had more sources
This isn't
in
it.
Afghanistan than all the other IGs combined in the GAO. So we're still trying to get that information.
This
but
was
the best
leaving
information,
Afghanistan.
like actual contract data, actually the names of people would be, it's best.
That's not it. Look. Withdrawal from Afghanistan. That's what's on right now. So what are we doing? This is Ukraine. Nothing says UFOs. CBS? This is CNBC. AP, here it is.
Or fix or whatever.
That's
Particularly when
Afghanistan.
we saw the Doha Agreement, and everybody focused on the troops leaving. But the Doha Agreement, which was then ratified by the Biden administration, specifically says the contractors have to leave.
Are you guys high? I already did search UFO hearing on YouTube. I mean, come on.
And that was the problem. The problem is they could not repair those. The irony is the Afghans were capable of repairing the old Soviet military equipment. But we decided, for whatever policy reason, to not give them Soviet military equipment anymore, or former Soviet, but to give them U.S. equipment. Excellent equipment, but it pushed back by years, by decades, the ability of the Afghans to prepare or repair their equipment.
Thank you for bringing our focus to that. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mafume. Chair recognizes Mr. Mafume for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you and the ranking member for convening us today on this hearing. And I want to go back to something that the ranking member said that I think is important to keep in mind. There was an unspoken doctrine in this body that all politics stop at the water's edge. And we've had over the years to push ourselves and to push each other to make sure that we try not to go back and particularly always assign blame, but to find a way to move forward. And so I hope that the moving forward on this is where we are. Some of us are old enough to remember 1975 when Saigon fell and the optics, which looked so much like the optics in August of 2021.
Hey, Donovan,
and I
where?
We continue to push now.
This is it.
That we move forward in looking at the real
Send me the
things
link.
that trouble us.
Put it in
One
the
of
chat.
things that troubles
You
me,
got
quite
it? Put it
frankly,
in the
about
chat.
This whole report is this issue of
Help
not
the show.
enough accountability.
Because I
don't
this
know
is
how
it.
any of us can defend that. I mean, I'm simultaneously in a small business committee meeting.
Yeah, it's not
looking
started.
At the amount of fraud in the PPP program. So we're always going back to try to find a way to be more accountable to taxpayers, to the American public, and to be more accountable to the truth in all of this. Mr. Sopko, I should let you know that Congress, committee, Democrats here on this committee and the previous Congress, including Chairwoman Maloney and Chairman Lynch and staff and others, repeatedly encouraged and pushed agencies to cooperate with SIGAR. I mean, repeatedly. So today, quite frankly, State Department, DOD, and AID have produced some
You know, this is the only thing that's on right now that is remotely close. It's just late. It hasn't started yet.
And I want to underscore something that the ranking member said earlier also. That
It hasn't started. And that's what I'm saying. You guys are saying it started. Send me the link. There, Alien Girl sent the link. Let me see if that even works.
Legitimacy. And so
Thank you for listening.
Importance of SIGAR's work, including the role in helping Congress,
Here, let's see.
And the American people to better understand where we are. I'm going to on the record.
It says watch video. What are you doing giving me the... This isn't it.
More so that we might not be in a position of hearing what we've heard today and or the position of frustration like I am right now, knowing that that there's apparently more information, more documents, more discussions that should be held. And
How could this be
I'm not
it?
saying they have to be held in public, but they've got to be held with...
Alien Girl sent this to me. It says it's old. It's 2 hours old. Here. This is it, I guess. Here you go.
Analytic process. We cannot keep turning a blind eye to surveillance data that is critical to detecting and tracking UAP. We need to know whether Dr. Kirkpatrick can achieve the necessary control over sensor filters and the storage and access to raw surveillance data to find UAP anomalies. Finally, one of the tasks Congress set for AARO is serving as an open door for witnesses of UAP events or participants in government activities related to UAPs to come forward securely and disclose what they know without fear of retribution for any possible violations of previously signed non-disclosure agreements. Congress mandated that AARO set up a publicly discoverable and accessible process for safe disclosure. While we know that AARO has already conducted a significant number of interviews, many referred by Congress, we need to set up a public process and we need to know where that effort stands. With that, I'd like to turn to Senator Ernst for her opening statement.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Dr. Kirkpatrick, for your testimony today. I'll keep these remarks very brief so that we have maximum time for your briefing. The recent downing of the Chinese surveillance balloon and 3 other objects underscores the need for domain awareness. Adversaries like China and Russia are working to hold U.S. interests, including our homeland, at risk. That's why your testimony is so important. And I so look forward to a progress update on the establishment of your office. As members know, your office evolved from the Navy-led Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force to the All-Domain Anomalous Resolution Office, known as AARO. Dr. Kirkpatrick, your extensive background in science and technology, research and development, and space makes you well-suited to discuss these emerging challenges. My priority is that we understand the full range of threats posed by our adversaries in all domains. That is what the Joint Force needs to be prepared to fight and win in defense of our nation. This committee needs to know about Chinese or Russian advanced technology programs to exploit our vulnerabilities, and it needs to know whether your office, along with the IC, has detected potential Chinese or Russian capabilities to surveil or attack us. Finally, we need to ensure efficient interagency coordination. Multiple elements of the DoD and IC own a piece of this mission. To add value, AARO's efforts cannot be redundant with others. Thank you again. We look forward to your testimony.
Dr. Kirkpatrick, you can give your testimony.
Thank you, Chairwoman Gillibrand, Ranking Member Ernst, distinguished members of the subcommittee. It's a privilege to be here today to testify on the Defense's efforts to address unidentified anomalous phenomena. First, I want to thank Congress for its extensive and continued partnership as the Department works to better understand and respond to UAP in an effort to minimize technical and intelligence surprise. Unidentified objects in any domain pose potential risks to safety and security, particularly from military personnel and capabilities. Congress and DoD agree that UAP cannot remain unexamined or unaddressed. We are grateful for sustained congressional engagement on this issue, which paved the way for the DoD's establishment of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office in July of last year. Though AARO is still a young office, the spotlight on UAP in recent months underscores the importance of its work and the need for UAP to be taken seriously as a matter of national security. All leadership that I've had the pleasure of working with, whether DoD, IC, DOE, civil, scientific, or industrial, view Congress as a critical partner in this endeavor. AARO has accomplished much in the last 9 months since it was established. The AARO team of more than 36 experts is organized around 4 functional areas: operations, scientific research, integrated analysis, and strategic communications. In the 9 months since AARO's establishment, we've taken important steps to involve and improve UAP data collection, standardize the department's UAP internal reporting requirements, and implement a framework for rigorous scientific and intelligence analysis, allowing us to resolve cases in a systematic and prioritized manner. Meanwhile, consistent with legislative direction, AARO is also carefully reviewing and researching the U.S. government's UAP-related historical record. AARO is leading a focused effort to better characterize, understand, and attribute UAP. with priority given to UAP reports by DoD and IC personnel in or near areas of national security importance. DoD fully appreciates the eagerness from many quarters, especially here in Congress and in the American public, to quickly resolve every UAP encountered across the globe from the distant past through today. It's important to note, however, AARO is the culmination of decades of DoD, intelligence community, and congressionally directed efforts to successfully resolve UAP encountered first and foremost by U.S. military personnel, specifically Navy and Air Force pilots. The law establishing AARO is ambitious, and it will take time to realize the full mission. We cannot answer decades of questions about UAP all at once.
Yes, you can.
We must begin somewhere. While I assure you that AARO will follow scientific evidence wherever it leads,
God.
I ask for your patience as DoD first prioritizes the safety and security of our military
Please.
personnel and installations in all domains. After all, a UAP encountered first by highly capable DoD and IC platforms, featuring the nation's most advanced sensors,
Good morning.
are those UAP most likely to be resolved by my office, assuming the data can be collected. If AARO succeeds in first improving the ability of military personnel to quickly and confidently resolve UAP they encounter,
Thanks,
I
Nikki
believe that
Starr.
in time we will have greatly advanced the capability of the entire United States government, including its civilian agencies. It would be naive to believe that the resolution of all UAP can be solely accomplished by the DoD and IC alone. We will need to prioritize collection and leverage authorities for monitoring all domains within the continental United States. AARO's ultimate success will require partnerships with the interagency, industry partners, academia, and the scientific community, as well as the public. AARO is partnering with the services, intelligence community, DOE, as well as civil partners and across the U.S. government to tap into the resources of the interagency. The UAP challenge is more an operational and scientific issue than it is an intelligence issue. As such, we are working with industry, academia, and the scientific community, which bring their own resources, ideas, and expertise to this challenging problem set. Robust collaboration and peer review across a broad range of partners will promote greater objectivity and transparency in the study of UAP. I want to underscore today that only a very small percentage of UAP reports display signatures that could reasonably be described as anomalous. The majority of unidentified objects reported to AARO demonstrate mundane characteristics of balloons, unmanned aerial systems, clutter, natural phenomena, or other readily explainable sources. While a large number of cases in our holdings remain technically unresolved, this is primarily due to a lack of data associated with those cases. Without sufficient data, we are unable to reach defendable conclusions that meet the high scientific standards we set for resolution, and I will not close a case that I cannot defend the conclusions of. I recognize that this answer is unsatisfying to those who in good faith assume that what they see with their eyes, with their cameras, and with their radars is incontrovertible evidence of extraordinary characteristics and performance. Yet time and again, with sufficient scientific quality data, it is fact that UAP often, but not always, resolve into readily explainable sources. Humans are subject to deception and illusions, sensors to unexpected responses and malfunctions, and in some cases, intentional interference. Getting to the handful of cases that pass this level of scrutiny is the mission of AARO. That is not to say that UAP, once resolved, are no longer of national security interest, however. On the contrary, learning that a UAP isn't of exotic origin, but is instead just a quadcopter or balloon, leads to the question of who is operating that quadcopter and to what purpose. The answers to those questions will inform potential national security or law enforcement responses. AARO is a member of the department's support to the administration's Tiger Team effort to deal with stratospheric objects such as the PRC high-altitude balloon. When previously unknown objects are successfully identified, it is AARO's role to quickly and efficiently hand off such readily explainable objects
Here we go.
to the intelligence, law enforcement, or operational safety communities for further analysis
Come
and
on.
appropriate action. In other words, AARO's mission is to turn UAP into SEP, somebody else's problem.
That's
The U.S.
bullshit.
government, the DoD and the IC in particular, has tremendous capabilities
What does
to
that
deal with those
mean?
encountered objects. In the wake of the PRC HAB event,
Somebody
the interagency
else's
is working
problem.
to better integrate and share information to address identifiable stratospheric objects, but that is not AARO's lane. Meanwhile, for the few cases in all domains, space, air, and sea, that do demonstrate potentially anomalous characteristics, AARO exists to help the DoD, IC, and interagency resolve those anomalous cases. In doing so, AARO is approaching these cases with the highest level of objectivity and analytic rigor. This includes physically testing and employing modeling and simulation to validate our analyses and underlying theories, then peer reviewing those results within the U.S. government, industry partners, and appropriately cleared academic institutions before reaching any conclusions. I should also state clearly for the record that in our research, AARO has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity, off-world technology, or objects that defy the known laws of physics. In the event sufficient scientific data were ever obtained that a UAP encountered can only be explained by extraterrestrial origin, we are committed to working with our interagency partners at NASA to appropriately inform U.S. government's leadership of its findings. For those few cases that have leaked to the public previously and subsequently commented on by the U.S. government, I encourage those who hold alternative theories or views to submit your research to credible peer-reviewed scientific journals. AARO is working very hard to do the same. That is how science works, not by blog or social media. We know that there is tremendous public interest in UAP and a desire for answers from AARO. By its very nature, the UAP challenge has for decades lent itself to mystery, sensationalism, and even conspiracy. For that reason, AARO remains committed to transparency, accountability, and to sharing as much with the American public as we can, consistent with our obligation to protect not only intelligence sources and methods, but U.S. and allied capabilities. However, AARO's work will take time if we are committed to do it right. It means adhering to the scientific method and the highest standards.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. That's bullshit. That is such bullshit. Class clown comedy. You're not missing anything. I paused it. He said we're going to do everything, but it's going to take time to do it right. You know what? You're the effing government of the United States of America. You have done this a million times. You've got graph guys. You've got guys who can figure this out. And my eyes are red. Class clown comedy with a Canadian $5.50. When will they get that? They can't confuse us anymore. Exactly my point. Continue. And thank you for the $5, Class Clown Comedy. That's your first time supporting. Thank you.
Of research integrity. It means being methodical and
integrity.
Scrupulous. It means withholding judgment in favor of evidence. It means following the data where it leads, wherever it leads. It means establishing scientific peer-reviewed theoretical underpinnings of observed data. And AARO is committed to all of those standards. I'm proud of AARO's progress over the last 9 months. Much remains to be done, but the hard work is underway. Thank you for your continued support. And before we turn to questions,
what support?
I'll walk you through
you're underfunded and under-budgeted
that we've prepared.
And you're not prepared, obviously.
So one of the things that AARO does is
go very, very slow, take their time, and not give a shit about what the public wants to hear. That's enough.
High integrity analysis, as I've said.
All right, I'll be quiet.
This chart represents the trend analysis of all the cases in AARO's holdings, right, to date. What you'll see on the left is a histogram of all of our reported sightings as a function of altitude. So most of our sightings occur in the 15 to 25,000 foot range, and that is ultimately because that's where a lot of our aircraft are.
Watch, this is amazing.
On the far right upper corner, you'll see a breakout of the morphologies of all of the UAP that are reported.
That's me doing this,
Over
not him.
Half,
they don't know how to use pointers.
Of what's been reported to us are round orb spheres.
Half are rounder spheres.
Break out into all kinds of different other shapes. The gray box is essentially there's no data on what its shape is.
It says
Either it wasn't
ambiguous
reported or
sensor
the,
contact,
sensor did not collect it.
23%.
The bottom map is a heat map of all reporting areas across the globe that we have available to us.
A heat map. A heat
What
map.
you'll notice is that there is a heavy, what we call collection bias, both in altitude and in geographic location. That's where all of our sensors exist. That's where our training ranges are. That's where our operational ranges are. That's where all of our platforms are. In the middle, what we have done is reduce the most typically reported UAP characteristics to these fields, mostly round, mostly 1 to 4 meters, white, silver, translucent, metallic, 10,000 to 30,000 feet with
Hey,
apparent.
by the way, if you think this is data, this isn't data. I mean, it is. But what I want to see is something I haven't seen before. This is old news. MUFON's got this. Just go to their website. Something like it. Anyway, all this is silly, but hey, good for them.
Velocities from.
Hey, they're trying, right? They're trying.
No thermal exhausts usually detected. We get intermittent radar returns. We get intermittent radio returns. And we get intermittent thermal signatures. That's what we're looking for and trying to understand what that is. Next slide.
So most of the objects are between 10 and 30,000 feet.
So I'm going to walk you through 2 cases that we've declassified recently. This first one is an MQ-9 in the Middle East, observing that blow up, which is an apparent spherical object via EO sensors. Those are not IR. If you want to go ahead and click that.
Is this the Mosul orb?
You'll see it come through the top of the screen. There it goes. And then the camera will slew to follow it.
Oh, they are showing footage. That was it.
Field of view there.
This isn't the Mosul orb,
This is
is it?
essentially all of the data we have associated with this event from some years ago.
Yeah, this is not it. That's something else.
It is going to
Wow.
be virtually impossible to fully identify that.
So why are
just
you
based
telling
off of
us?
that video.
I want to see
Now, what
something we
do
can
and
identify.
What we are doing is keeping that as part of that group of 50.
And I got to be honest, it looks like a tic tac. Look, you got a protrusion here, barely, something here. I mean, could it be a drone? Yeah. Man, they're really messing with us. Yeah, I don't know.
52%.
I like it, though.
To see what are the similarities, what are the trends across all of these? Do we see these in a particular distribution? Do they all behave the same or not? As we get more data, we will be able to go back and look at these in a fuller context. How are we going to get more data? We are working with the Joint Staff to issue guidance to all the services and commands that will then establish what are the reporting requirements, the timeliness, and all of the data that is required to be delivered to us and retained
Guys,
from all of the associated sensors.
this is basics.
That historically
This
hasn't
is
been the case, and it's been happenstance. that data has
101
been
research.
collected. Next slide.
This isn't anything. Oh, all right. Hold on.
This particular event, South Asia MQ-9, looking at another MQ-9, and what's highlighted there in that red circle is an object that flies through the screen.
Looks like a drone. Looks like
Unlike
a
the
plane.
previous one, this one actually shows some really interesting things that everyone thought was truly anomalous to start with.
All right. Bring it
First of
on.
all, it's a high-speed object that's flying in the
Yeah,
field
this
of
is 50
regard
years
of
ago.
2 MQ-9s. Second, it appears to have this trail behind it, all right, which at first blush, you would think that looks like a propulsion trail.
Oh, my God.
In reality, if you want to play the first slide, we'll show you what that looks like in real time, our first video. So we're looking at that. There it goes. Why don't you play it again and then pause it halfway through?
You know, that could be a drone closer to the
All right,
camera.
You might be able to see that trail there behind it.
Yeah.
That's actually not a real trail. That is a sensor artifact each one of those little blobs is actually a representation of the object as it's moving through. And later in the video, as the
Remember how Jeremy Corbell was trying to tell us that's not an anomaly behind the Mosul orb? This is a vaporless trail. It must be from the propulsion. Him and his Jesus hands. I mean, anybody who knows cameras, basic camera anomalies, this is one of the most common ones when it comes to videos. The ghost trail, the ghost image. It's so common. Jeremy Corbell shouldn't even be mentioning that as not being something as an anomaly. It is an anomaly. It happens, especially on shitty cameras or cameras that don't have the frame rate or the sensors to see clearly. Maybe this high def, I don't know. It's night vision. Who the hell knows?
the camera slews, that trail actually follows the
It looks
direction
like a
of the
drone.
camera, not the direction of the object. We pulled these apart frame by frame. We were able to demonstrate that that is essentially a readout overlap of the image. It's a shadow image, right?
I mean, this looks like a DJI drone right here, just in the bullshit image. That looks like a drone to me. You got the propeller props right here on this one on this side, one on this side. Here's the front. You know, on top they probably have some sensor. Who the hell fucking knows?
It's not real.
Sorry about
Further,
my
if you
language.
later follow this all the way to end, it starts to resolve itself into that blob that's in that picture in the top right. And if you squint, it looks like an aircraft because it actually turns out to be an aircraft. Go ahead and put that in.
Oh, is that right?
So you'll see the tail sort of pop out there. And so what you're looking at is, this is in the infrared, this is the heat signature off of the engines of a commuter aircraft that happened to be flying in the vicinity of where those two MQ-9s were at. Why am I showing you this? So the first one that I showed you, we don't have resolved yet, right? That is an unresolved case we are still studying. This one we can resolve, but this is the kind of data that we have to work with and the type of analysis that we have to do, which can be quite extensive when you have to
Bullshit.
pull these apart frame by frame. Further, we're now matching all of this with the models of all of those imaging sensors so that I can say, I can recreate this. I can actually show how the sensor is going to respond. All of these sensors don't necessarily respond the way you think they do, especially out in the world and in the field.
What does that
believe That's all
mean?
I have, and I will open it up for your discussions.
Tell us what
Thank
that
you so much,
means.
Dr. Kirkpatrick. Can you just give us some raw numbers of how many UAPs you've analyzed, how many have been resolved, and sort of in what buckets, and then how many are still left to be resolved? Just an
About
update
4.
from your January public report where it was 366 or something, and about 150 were balloons, and about 24 were drones. You know, just give us an update if you have one.
Sure. So as of this week, we are tracking over a total of 650 cases. Now, the report in January basically said about half of the ones at that time, about 150, were likely balloon-like or something like that. That doesn't mean they're resolved.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so what, let me walk everyone through what our analytic process looks like. We have essentially a 5-step process, right? So we get our cases in with all the data. We create a case for that event. My team does a preliminary scrub of all of those cases as they come in, just to sort out, do we have any information that says this is in one of those likely categories? It's likely a balloon, it's likely a bird, it's likely some other object, or we don't know. Then we prioritize those based off of where they are. Are they attached to a national security area? Does it show some anomalous phenomenology that is of interest? If it's just a spherical thing that's floating around with the wind and it has no payload on it, that's going to be less important than something that has a payload on it, which will be less important than something that's maneuvering.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You treat every object equally, you moron.
Right, so there's sort of a hierarchy of just binning the priorities because
What
we
did he
can't
just
do all of them
say?
at once. Once we do that and we prioritize them, when we take that package of data in that case, and I
Idiots!
have set up two teams. Think of this as a red team, blue team, or a competitive analysis. I have an intelligence community team made up of intelligence analysts, and I have an S&T team made up of scientists and engineers and the people that actually build a lot of these sensors, or physicists, because, you know, if you're a physicist, you can do anything, right? But they're not associated with the intel community. They're not intel officers. So they look at this through the lens of the sensor, of what the data says. We give that package to both teams. The intelligence community is going to look at it through the lens of the intelligence record and what they assess, and their intel tradecraft, which they have very specific rules and regulations on how they do that. Scientific community, technical community is going to look at it through the lens of what is the data telling me? What is the sensor doing? What would I expect a sensor response to be? And back that out. Those two groups give us their answers. We then adjudicate. If they agree,
Hey, it's my wake and bake
then I am
time.
more likely to close that case if they agree on what it is. If they disagree, we will have an adjudication. We'll bring them together, we'll take a look at the differences, we'll adjudicate why do you say one thing and you say another. We will then come to a case recommendation. That'll get written up by my team. That then goes to a senior technical advisory group, which is outside of all of those people, made up of senior technical folks and intel analysts and operators from retired out of the community. And they essentially peer review what that case recommendation is. They write their recommendations, that comes back to me, I review it, we make a determination, and I'll sign off one way or the other. And then that will go out as the case determination. Once we have an approved web portal to hang the unclassified stuff, we will we would downgrade and
course.
declassify things and put it out there. In the meantime, we're putting a lot of these on our classified web portal, where we can then collaborate with the rest of the community so they can see what's going on. That's, in a nutshell, that is the process, right? So because of that, that takes time.
You're right.
So of those over 650, we've prioritized about half of them to be of
Yep.
anomalous, interesting value. And now we have to go through those and go, how much do I have actual data for? Because if all I have is a operator report that says I saw X, Y, or Z, my assessment is A, B, or C, that's not really sufficient. That's a good place to start, but I have to have data. I have to have radar data, I have to have EO data, I have to have thermal data, I have to have overhead data, and we need to look at all that.
What does he mean you have to have? And I didn't hear him talk about the public and their data, because we have it too. See, did you hear what he said when he was showing us the data, showing us the UFO? He said, this is what I'm dealing with. And you mean you're dealing with out of focus, grainy UFO videos? Our government is? No. You've got clear. Lou Elizondo said there's a 27-minute video in high def. And I believe in one of these videos, the UFO is 50 feet from the cockpit of the airplane. Yeah, maybe sensitive information with the heads-up display. Show us that. I'm starting to get a little angry because it is a bunch of freaking bureaucracy bullshit, as that UFO chick says. You can't say it enough. Happy birthday, Shelley. We'll get to that tonight.
From a big picture perspective, I still have, that's all still very valuable data. And we're looking at applying a lot of things.
Guys, I want to try this real quick. Open a new window and see what happens. Okay. It just changed a little. Here we go.
Are on par or ahead of us
There we
in some
go.
areas.
Now we got a full screen.
So previously, I used to be the Defense Department's intelligence officer for science and technical intelligence. That was our job, was to look for what does all that look like. And then, my last several years, of course, in Space Command doing space. The adversary is not waiting. They are advancing, and they're advancing quickly. If I were to put on some of my old hats, I would tell you they are less risk averse at technical advancement than we are. Right? They are just willing to try things and see if it works. Are there capabilities that could be employed against us in both an ISR and a weapons fashion? Absolutely. Do I have evidence that they're doing it in these cases? No, but I have concerning indicators.
Oh, so you think it's our adversaries?
I appreciate that. And that's,
Interesting.
that is why it's so important that you are working with the intelligence community as well. Because you have the science, the data background, but you also need to know from various sources what adversaries may be working on. Is that correct? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was good. Good, Ms. Ernst.
Well, thank you, Chair Gillibrand, Ranking Member Ernst. This is a really important hearing. I'd like to thank you, Dr. Kirkpatrick, for your service to the country, and as a former systems analyst myself.
Shut up.
I really appreciate your flow chart, the description of the process, and particularly the trends analysis going forward, how that's going to help us. And you talked about language, the large LLMs, the large language models, artificial intelligence. That's really going to help us in the hunt forward. Predictive analysis, I think, to some of your point, what we're worried about. But I want to focus on Nevada because I want to talk about the impact of UAPs on aviation safety. So when it comes to unidentified aerial phenomena, one of my first concerns is really about the safety of Nevada's military aviator. So we have airmen stationed at Nellis Air Force Base, naval aviators flying at Naval Air Station Fallon, and service members from across the world training at the Nevada Test and Training Range. I know you know all this. And unfortunately, the existence of advanced UAPs in the U.S. airspace and over U.S. military installations, not a new phenomenon. The Navy's officially acknowledged that between 2004 and 2021, 11 near misses occurred involving UAPs that required pilot action and follow-up reports. As a result, in 2019, the Navy established a protocol for pilots to report on their dangerous encounters. So could you speak to any ongoing efforts within DoD to ensure the safety of our aviators with a potential UAP encounter, and what's your relationship with Northcom, NORAD, Spacecom when it comes to this immediate real-time response, and how they're right there in the moment, right?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So let me start with, my relationship with the commands are very good. I just came back from sitting down with General Van Herk and all the J staff out at Northcom a couple weeks ago, talking through exactly what we need to do to help them get their arms around
Not
this.
yet, Amy.
We are also working very closely with Joint Staff, and the Joint Staff has just been very outstanding in helping work through policy and guidance issues to the forces and to the services. And I would like to just make sure that we message back to all of the operators the importance of their reporting, and the fact that you're about to get a bunch of new requirements that we're issuing through the Joint Staff on all of the data that we're going to need you to save and report back to us. It is invaluable, and we are working to try to take the most advantage of that to learn what it is that we're trying to mitigate. To get directly to your question, first thing that we're doing is normalizing our reporting. right?
Exactly.
We're standardizing our reporting and the requirements associated with that guidance from the Joint Staff, I think goes out maybe this week, maybe next week, that we've been working with them for some months, that does exactly what I just said. It gives them timelines, it gives them requirements, it gives them, here's all the data you have to have, and you got to retain it. The next thing that comes after that is a plan ord that will go out to the commands.
Exactly, Sven.
For mitigation and response. So there's a couple of things that we have to do. One, I need to work with the commands and with the IC and with our outside of our DoD and IC partners to extend our collection posture, targeted at some of these key areas that you saw on that heat map. That have a lot of activity, so that we can turn on extra collection when an operator sees something. So part of this is generating as a response function, in what we call a tactic, technique, and procedure for an operator. When he sees something, calls back to the operations floor, they can turn on additional collection. What does that collection look like? How do I bring all that together so I can get more data on what is that thing?
Can I ask really quickly,
Sure.
do you have the authorities you need to extend your collection posture between agencies or branches of the military? Because that seems to me to maybe be a sticking point. I know my time's just about up. I'd love to follow up about your risk management methodologies for some of these, but do you need any authorities that you don't have to get the data?
There are
you need?
some authorities that we need. We currently are operating under Title 10 authorities, but we have, good relationships across the other agencies. But having additional authorities for collection, tasking, counterintelligence.
That's something-
Those are all things that would be helpful, yes.
Thank you.
To follow up, Dr. Kirkpatrick, will you help us write that language so we can put it in the defense bill this year so that we know what authorities you need?
We can do that.
Thank you. We're going to start second round, so if you want to stay, you can ask another round. I have at least 3 more questions, so.
This is unbelievable. We're going to pause it here while they're doing that. And I am loving this. This is really good. And even though we're not getting the video evidence, we always want that. We're getting, yes, some of you are on top of this. They're saying the same things they've already told us and talking about the same cases we've already talked about. There's so many of them. Show us something. Well, guys, they will. And he even said it's going to be a slow process and they're going to do it right one time. It's not like they want to go back and make sure they did it right. They're doing this the right way. They're going to take their time. That's what the government does when they get funding. Have you ever waited in line? Have you at the government facilities, the DMV, the post office? Yes. I know it's not the same. But I like that we're going to be starting round 2 here. So go grab an extra coffee. We're going to be here another hour at least. We're going to go until they end this hearing, and then we're going to come back tonight at 7 p.m., and you guys are going to join me, and we're going to discuss everything as we go over it. We're going to have a nice long show today. Tonight. Tomorrow. All right, giddy up, Gillibrand. Don't keep me waiting.
Do you want to go right now, so in case you have to leave? Oh, I could. Yeah, go ahead.
I need to go potty. Nice jacket. She bought that jacket. She can't say paranormal. She
By the
can't
way,
say
it did cross the
ufological.
US airspace, shot down by a Sidewinder missile fired from an F-22.
Mrs. Rosen.
Sidewinders cost us
Rosen.
$500,000 each.
$400,000 to shoot down balloons. Here we
The
go.
cost of these missiles, the cost per flight, all of these other things, like I said, follow up on the authorities, your methodologies, the data collection, they can help us in other ways.
Watch
But
it, Rosen.
How do you think we can develop a sustainable, affordable response to UAPs where we need to, that will definitely violate our airspace, definitely violate our airspace every chance that they can get because
It
they're
is.
adversaries, they want this information. So what do you think some cost-effective measures might be that we can get what we need out of that or take them down, whatever's appropriate, whatever the appropriate measure is, let's put it that
So
way.
that is actually wrapped into
Yeah,
the
right.
plan order that we're working with joint staff to send out. What do the commands need from both a capabilities perspective for kinetic and non-kinetic engagements? What are the response functions of the
Yeah.
particular wings or
Troy.
Navy, what have you? And then what authorities do they need?
No wire
So
hangers.
One of the challenges that we've seen is there's an authorities issues with the owners, operators of those ranges that they need to work through, and we're working that with Joint Staff and OSD.
That UFO chick, a lot of people are following your sentiment here. You say I tempered my expectations. We all did. But even with no expectations, I cannot take this nonsense. I'll put the 3 exclamation points at the end of that sentence. Yeah, but I like it. And I don't. I'm with you in a way, but, for me, it is the second UFO hearing, congressional hearing. Let's see what part 2 consists of. We did see more than just a blip on a screen. Okay, so we got to give them a little credit. I don't think we're going to see any more UFOs. And so we didn't see the Mosul orb, but we saw better than that in a war-torn region. What? War? Yeah, Battlefield Earth. All right. So they're starting round 2. Let's kick back in Dr. Kirkpatrick and his skunk head. Look at that hair. Just go bald, dude. Just get rid of that rat's nest on top. You got the goatee already. You'll definitely look like American History X if you shave that head, though. You might want to keep those glasses, too, while you're at it. All right, Dr. Kirkpatrick, doctor. Here we go, round 2.
So big picture, we need to do all that. If you want to get down to the specifics for, there are non-kinetic
right.
options to engage pretty much everything, right? Whether it's electronic warfare, whether it's laser technology.
That's where this data,
That's
having the
right.
good data collection, predictive
Correct.
analytics, you can
Inform.
As we see Mrs. Rosen today wearing her, what was that name? The name of the lady? Jacqueline Kennedy outfit that she bought at Sears Roebuck. It was going at a business sale. So she got that jacket at half off. And I mean, half off. There's no bottom half. All right, here we go.
make some assumptions and possibilities.
That's right. And we will inform.
Get serious.
Recommendations back to the department on here's what could work, here's what we've seen work, here's what doesn't work.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate it.
You know what I noticed I do? When I don't agree with people, I make light of their appearance. That's wrong. See, that's what I don't like about me. I wish I could change that so I never do that again. I mean that. All right, hold on, guys. I'm getting the nugget here. These are just amazing. Oh, did you guys see my video I posted for the members? The members video? You didn't see it? Gotta check it out. All right, let's go.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about your logistics, who you report to, how that's going.
Here we go.
Whether you need different reporting lines. By congressional legislation, your office is administratively located with the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security,
Right.
but you're not substantively subordinate to the Undersecretary. Rather,
Right.
you are a direct report to the Deputy Secretary. Are you taking direction directly from the Deputy Secretary? Are you able to meet and brief the Deputy Secretary?
Or
Is
Greer.
the Office of USD INS working with you to have the right framework?
So USDINS, I currently report to USDINS until they come up with the plan for how they're going to implement legislation. DOD and DNI are working through that now. I'd have to refer you back to USDINS on what their plan is.
Do I need to update your reporting
What'd he do,
structure in the
fall
next
asleep?
defense bill, or is this something that you think will work its way out, or does it need further clarity?
I think they're planning on coming back to you with an answer on what that plan is, and I think at that time that will inform what you want to do.
Okay, thank you. As you know, Dr. Kirkpatrick, Congress has mandated that your office establish a discoverable and accessible electronic method for potential witnesses of UAP incidents and potential participants in government UAP-related activities to contact your office and tell their stories. Congress also set up a process whereby people subject to non-disclosure agreements, preventing them from disclosing what they may have witnessed or participated in, could tell you what they know without risk of retribution from or violation of their NDAs. Have you submitted a public-facing website product for approval to your superiors, and how long has it been under review?
I have. We submitted the first version of that before Christmas.
And do you have an estimate from them when they will respond and when you'll have feedback on that?
No, I don't.
Okay. We will author a letter asking for that timely response to your superiors. When do you expect that you will establish a public-facing discoverable and access portal for people to use to contact your office as the law requires?
So I would like to first say thank you all very much for referring the witnesses that you have thus far to us. I appreciate that. We've brought in nearly 24 so far. It's been very helpful. I'd ask that you continue to do that until we have an approved plan. We have a multi-phased approach for doing that we've been socializing and have submitted for approval sometime. Once that happens, then we should be able to push all that out and get this a little more automated.
Great.
What I would ask, though, is as you all continue to refer to us and refer witnesses to us, I'd appreciate if you do that. Please try to prioritize the ones that you want to do, because we do have a small research staff dealing with that.
There was a question asked to me by Aaron H. He wanted to know if I'll be doing a live watch along for Greer's Press Club event in June. Well, here's the deal, Aaron. I'll be there. Yep, I'm going to Washington to hook up with Third Phase of Moon because they'll be filming it and documenting their next documentary with Greer based on that whole NPC thing. But I'll be there. And yeah, so I don't know what else to say other than I'll be going live while I'm there. I guess that's what I'll be doing. So yeah, I'll be covering it live. And if I'm not live, then if I'm not there, if I don't make it for whatever reason, I will watch it here. Just like we're doing today. Good question. Thanks, Aaron H.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then do you have any plans for public engagement that you want to share now that you think it's important that the public knows what the plan is?
So we have a number of public engagement recommendations according to our strategic plan. All of those have been submitted for approval. They have to be approved by USDINS. We are waiting for approval to go do that.
Okay, I will follow up on that. And then my last question is about the integration of departments' UAP operations, research analysis, and strategic communications. During the recent UAP incidents over North America, it didn't appear that you were allowed to play that role. Do you agree that the public perception is generally that you and your office did not appear to play a major role in the department's response to the detection of objects over North America? What can you tell us that's going on behind the scenes from your perspective? And in the after-action assessment process, is there awareness that there is a need to operate differently in the future and a commitment to doing so?
Good question.
When the objects were first detected, I got called by Joint Staff Leadership to come in late one night to review events as they were unfolding and to give them an assessment based on what we knew at that time. I did that, worked with the Director of Joint Staff, the J2 and the J3 that night and over the couple of following days on what are the types of things that we are tracking from an unidentified object perspective, what databases do we use, those sorts of things for known objects, known tracking. Beyond that, the response, I would have to refer you back to the White House for the decision on how they did the response. We did not play a role in what you would respond, other than that initial, advice on what we are seeing and how we are seeing it.
God. Terrible.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Kirkpatrick, I know that your office has gotten a lot of attention recently. And of course, any new agency, there tends to be a push to increase size and funding.
Here we go.
Want to make sure that you're able to meet your goals. But what I also need to ensure is that we're not duplicating or replicating existing functions and creating redundancy within DoD and the interagency. So what steps are you taking right now to make sure that your particular office and function is unique to any of the other agencies that might be involved in these types of cases?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would like to lay down, here's what am I, sort of my mission and my goal and my vision here. So the vision is at some point in the future, you should not need an AARO. If I'm successful in what I'm doing, we should be able to normalize everything that we're doing into existing processes, functions, agencies, and organizations, and make that part of their mission and their role. Right now, the niche that we form is really going after the unknowns. I think you articulated it early on, this is a hunt mission for what might somebody be doing in our backyard that we don't know about. All right, well, that is what we are doing, right? But at some point, we should be able to normalize that. That's why it's so important, the work we're doing with Joint Staff, to normalize that into DoD policy and guidance. We are bringing in all of our interagency partners. So NASA is providing a liaison for us. I have FBI liaison, I have OSI liaison, I have service liaisons. Half of my staff come from the IC. Half of my staff come from other scientific and technical backgrounds. I have DOE. And so what we're trying to do is ensure, again, as I make UAP into SEP, they get handed off to the people that is their mission to go do.
And then they go down with OPP.
I'm not going to go chase the Chinese high-altitude balloon, for example. That's not my job. It's not an unknown, and it's not anomalous anymore. Now it goes over to them. Right.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I wanted just to follow up on the filters for surveillance. Outside observers have speculated that DoD sets filters on certain sensors to eliminate objects that are moving really fast or slow, because what we are looking for militarily are conventional aircraft and missiles. UAP that doesn't fit into these programs would thereby be weeded out and never noticed. This speculation was proven to be true during the UAP incidents over North America, where DoD publicly acknowledged that we were able to start seeing these UAPs only when we opened up these filters. Obviously, our military operators cannot be overloaded with objects that are not conventional aircraft or missiles. Can you nonetheless make sure that the raw data is being captured and subsequently processed, so that your office knows what's really out there? And is that going to cost money? Will you expect to pay for that money out of AARO's budget?
God.
One of the key tenets that we're trying to do in our science plan is understand what those signatures are. So we get all the raw, for example, radar data prior to the scrubbing and filtering to allow it to enter into our weapons systems and our detection systems. We are now taking all that data and cross-correlating it to what pilots are saying they're seeing or other observations from other operators.
Yeah, not that hard.
What that allows us to do is then see if there are any signatures in that data that I can pull out,
Yeah.
generate
Patterns.
what we'll call automatic target recognition
Got it.
algorithms that allow us to then use that signature associated with a observed UAP.
They're looking for signatures of automated weapon systems of these unknowns. They're trying to figure out if they have weapons locked on them. Isn't that what he just said? Weapons detection system.
Whatever that UAP may be.
See?
We will then make those recommendations of what those changes should be back to the department. So the deputy secretary had asked me last October to make those recommendations. What changes do we need to make to radars, to platforms, to detection systems and algorithms to pull on those algorithms and make those changes? That's going to take some time. That's where the research and development comes in. Right?
Unbelievable.
It's not instantaneous. Right now, a lot of the, I won't say, a lot of the things that fall outside of the ranges of those filters have been identified by people in the loop. And you can't have people in the loop all the time. It's just not cost effective. So part of our budget is working through what does that look like, and then making those recommendations back to the big program offices for them to put into changes in that acquisition.
My last question's about the academic community. Can you give us an update on sort of how you collaborate with the academic community and whether how the independent study being done by NASA complements AARO's work?
Sure. Two questions, so I'm going to try to make it quick. The 1979, Carl Sagan said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I would go one step further, and I would say extraordinary claims require not only extraordinary evidence, but extraordinary science. And so how do you do that? You do that with the scientific method, right? And so as AARO is developing and implementing its science plan, it has to do so grounded in a solid foundation of scientific theory across the entire range of hypotheses that have been presented for what UAP are. That range spans adversary breakthrough technology on one hand, known objects and phenomena in the middle, all the way to the extreme theories of extraterrestrials. All of that has physics-based signatures associated with it, whether it's theoretical from the academic community, known from things like hypersonic weapons.
There's the answer of the day from AARO's Andy. So kids, you gonna stop feeding your fantasies of ET and grow up? This hearing was always about national security. So many grifters making money from man-made technology. Yeah, that's just the way it is. It sucks. It sucks bee-bags, man. You know? But what do we got? Either we accept under duress. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know, man. Look, Kirkpatrick said it's gonna be slow. I know they're going over all the stuff we already know about. This is a ruse. This is nothing but a ruse. Come on, camera. The reason I say that, it's because they keep talking about the same shit over and over and over and over. And nothing new is being told. Which tells me it's just pomp and circumstance, basically. But I still like it. Something to talk about. Look, man, any mainstream media play, anything like a congressional hearing to get the juices flowing for me, you, and everybody else, it's nice, it's fun, But remember, it really is all about money and military weapons. And that is the truth. And they don't like that China can fly within. Did I say China? I meant the aliens can fly with impunity. Anyway, here we go.
Or adversary breakthrough technology.
Good stuff, guys.
We've talked about before. Or the known objects that we have to go measure. The idea is across that entire range, you have to come up with peer-reviewed scientific basis for all of it. The academic community plays a very big role on the one end of the spectrum, the intelligence community on the other end of the spectrum, and then measurement in the middle. Once I have those signatures identified in validated, peer-reviewed documents, then I have something to point to for all that data. Because all that data is going to match one of those signatures, right? And then I can go, well, it's that and not that, or it's that. And that helps us go through all that.
Brilliant.
Where NASA comes in and the,
No
the
shit.
study that they're doing, which I'm supporting, is really looking at the unclassified data sources that might be used to augment our classified data sources to understand if there's a signature there we can pull on. So very similar to the radars, but civil capabilities. So for example, we have a lot of climate science satellites, for example, that look at Earth. Lots of them. How many of those is the data valuable in seeing these kinds of objects? The challenge in that is those platforms don't necessarily have the resolution you need. So if you remember the slide I put up there with the trends, the size of the objects we're looking for are typically reported to be 1 to 4 meters. Well, the resolution of many of the climate science civil satellites is much larger than that, which means you'd have a hard time picking out something that's smaller than a pixel on the imagery on the data. That's not to say all of it's not useful, and there are ways of pulling through that data and going through. That is what NASA is focused on right now. So what are some other data sources that could be used?
Excuses.
In addition, things like open source and crowdsourcing of data. We're exploring public-private partnerships, ma'am, as you know, we've talked about in the past, to look at, is there a way to smartly crowdsource additional data that might be useful to augment some of my classified sources? And what does that look like? And how would we do it so that we're not overwhelmed by, everybody who wants to take a picture of everything?
Like to tell the committee before we close? Or do you have another round? Yeah. Do you have anything else you'd like to tell the committee before we close?
Thank you very much for allowing us to come and share a little bit of insight into what AARO is up to and what we're doing. I hope to be able to share a whole lot more in the future. We have a lot of work to do, so if you don't hear from me outside, it's because we've got a lot of work to do.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kirkpatrick. Thank you for the hearing.
Thank you.
And that's that. As we end the live UFO congressional hearing. Hey, Dave Scott, Spaced Out Radio. What are you doing? Canadian coin of $14. Are you out of your Vulcan mind? Hey, thanks for that support, Dave. Didn't have to do that. Glad to, they're definitely offline. I made sure of it. That was interesting. And I want to talk to you guys now, but we're going to come back tonight for the regular show. And because, this was a mid-morning for me thing, 11 o'clock, we missed 30 minutes because I overslept. Look, weird things have happened. I set the alarm to go on at 9:30 a.m. I even picked the song out. I knew exactly. I was going to be ready. There was nothing stopping me. I gave myself 45 minutes to wake up, eat, and get ready for this. And then I look on the phone and it's not even there. So anyway, we made it. We got a lot of stuff out of it. We did all right. We saw nothing and we heard nothing. What did we see? What did we hear? You guys got to join me tonight. But I'm going to answer that right now. Yes, some of you are 100% correct. This is just about pomp and circumstance. This is nothing but, my God, I'm getting messages left and right. This is nothing but bureaucracy bullshit. It really sounded like it today. It sounded like Kirkpatrick, sounded like he knew what he was talking about, but didn't. It was weird. It's like he really had to think about what he was saying. It was the body language. I'll go over that later on tonight with some things that I noticed he kept, doing this. Anytime he talked about the technology, he would go here. And I thought that was interesting. I tried to stay out of it as much as I could because of history in the making. We did see the videos. We saw a few seconds of something that, in my opinion, looks like a drone, closer to the camera than where they were showing it. They wanted us to think it was. We knew everything. He's going to take their time. They're going to take their time. They're going to do it right. They're going to analyze everything. They're going to get science right. Out of the 600 cases, 300, right? They haven't looked at yet or something. They got to get all the information before they tell us anything. We're doing it right the first time and the only time. There will no be rebacks and relooks or re-ups or re-researches. We're going to do this right the first time, and that's the only time. You hear me? Amazing. It was fun. Yeah. Shane Reed, everybody. Not sure if this was good, he says, for his $2 support. Super chat even. Not sure if this was good or bad. Time will tell. Can I say, honestly, with all honesty, it was bad. It was bad. Everything has already been spoken. This is nothing but, again, telling us what they're doing instead of doing it and telling us what they did it about. I want the information on certain locations of military stuff. I mean, we did miss 40 minutes, 30 minutes of it. My apologies again. I mean, horrible. Just horrible of me that I did that. I'm sorry. Cash App came in from Jeanette Angel, everybody. What are you doing? $12.45. Okay. All right. Let's calm down. I'm getting a little overexcited because we're going just, a couple more minutes, whatever. But I thought, I don't know, what was it? Oh, Jeanette, thank you very much. You're a continuing supporter. Shane Reed, obviously you're a continuing supporter as well. Thank you guys for the support, the super chats and the Cash App. I appreciate that. In the morning even, yeah, or now afternoon. And let me see something here, make sure I'm not missing any. And $3.33 from Greg O'Brien. Again, a continuing supporter to PayPal. He says, and there's a message. Space Force is where the info will come from, not this clown. That is a great point. You're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe we have to rely on Space Force. Hey, Greg, that's interesting conversation. Let me talk about that for a second. And thank you very much for the PayPal support. You know. You knew. You PayPal. Yeah. All right. Mucho gusto, generoso, Greg O'Brien, everybody. All right. Space Force. Space Force. But they're all in on it, man. They're all in on it. I feel like this was a ruse, just a show to get, because they have to do this, right? To ask the questions for the people. The people got to know. We got to know where the money's going, what it's going to. And all we heard is exactly what we heard last congressional hearing. In between the hearings, and even I think before the hearings, we heard all of this already. People are going to go nuts. UFO Twitter is going to love this. They are going to talk like this was the best thing. And really, it was only 2 hours. Well, no. An hour and a half? Give or take, an hour and 15, 20 minutes. All right, an hour and 15 minutes. If it started at 10:30, and I don't know if it did because somebody didn't do something right with the alarm. This did not propel us towards any form of disclosure. People thought that there were going to be witnesses coming out. There was none of that. We thought we were going to, right? People thought there were going to be witnesses. I thought, I know he was talking, but I could have sworn. Hey, by the way, I have this source that I can't name, but I'm allowed to talk about. Told me about the battlefield, these videos today. Told me about these, that we were going to see them. That's why I said the Mosul in the battle, in the, battlefield Earth, as Jeremy Corbell makes us think it is. I still think those are drones. They didn't look like they were UFOs. Oh, and how about the trail behind the artifact that would show up on video? And Jeremy Corbell was insisting, him and his experts, they said. Jeremy said, the experts even said, this is some sort of, remember, even, the rocket that he's trying to call a cylindrical object. Yeah, not the Mosul orb. I'm talking about the cylindrical object. To clarify, that's the one with the artifact behind it, where Jeremy says, there's no fuel shooting out its ass, Richard. There's no fuel, no heat signature. It was taken in a worn-torn region. The rocket was shot out. Hey, it could have been plasma. Who knows? Something that doesn't produce a lot of heat. Or maybe, Jeremy, you were lied to and that camera actually was showing the coolness of the rocket. Who the hell knows? All I know is that artifact behind is not what Jeremy said it was. It's just an artifact of the camera because of the frame rate and the night vision, all whatever it is. But Lou Eleganzo, didn't he say there was a 27-minute video of high clarity, HD? You got to see it, guys. You saw it? I cannot confirm or deny that. Yes, I've seen it. Yeah. They can show us that video. They can, but they won't. So, before I take off and set up tonight's show, they leave it to us, the public, regular Joe and Nancy, or Karen and Darren, to do the dirty work for our own government. All the funding in the world, and they still can't get it right. Repeating and repeating the same things over and over as if it's new. Tricking us into thinking, wow, this is new. When it's the same thing we heard before, and before, and in between, and before. So, again, we got duped by the ruse, which is our government. I will see you tonight, my fellow GUFONIANS, for I am Rich Giordano, the true leader of Truthology for Ufology. I will see you tonight. May God and alien God save us all from ourselves. Yeah, that was actually pretty good. That wasn't bad at all. See ya. Oh yeah, alien bless. Oh! Yeah, not the normal routine today. Yeah, that's right. It's not the normal routine. All right, I'll leave you guys. See you later. There we go. All right. Thanks, super chatters, moderators, newcomers, and veterans. I'm Rich Giordano for GUFON. Yeah. I will see you soon. 7 p.m. tonight on YouTube. That's GUFON. Alien bless.